Boise. We welcome you to Boise, Idaho, the famed blue turf by the 4th-ranked team in the country. Kellen Moore and company's first offensive series of the night. Doug Martin, just a yard gain. Fresno received the ball to start the night, a 3-and-out as that Boise defense did their work. And now Moore, who went deep on the opening play and drew the pass interference as he was looking for Titus Young.
Well, one of the few poor deep throws we've seen. He got the pass interference, but Kellen Moore has been better this year at everything. Better than last year with the deep ball, better with anticipation, and hasn't been touched, knocked around. Timing was off on this a little bit. Kellen Moore held the ball a little bit long. Titus Young wide open, ball underthrown, and watch Thomas prevent the big play by taking the obvious pass interference call.
An injury timeout now on the field as Fresno's defensive end Chris Lewis is being tended to. The all-orange unis tonight for Boise State.
Yeah.
First time they've ever come out here on the blue. The famed blue where they usually wear all blue and they come out in orange tonight.
Do they lose power when they go away from the blue uniform? I don't know. Different deal.
Well, Auburn, Oregon, TCU not in action this weekend, so all eyes on Boise and obviously heating up with BCS talk.
Well, the door is open for Boise State. I mean, things are working out for them in the sense that they gained ground on TCU last week, so they now have a legitimate shot. Look at the scenario. An Oregon loss in the next 2 weeks, an Auburn loss in the next 2 weeks puts them in position to move up to as high as #2, but they have to continue to win and win in a dominant fashion. That's what hurt TCU last weekend, was their close victory over San Diego State.
Chris Lewis able to walk off to that Fresno sideline. 2nd and 9. Moore able to sling it out and going to be just short of that line to make as he was able to connect to Austin Pettis.
Well, the impact players are clear for Boise State offensively. A couple of great wide receivers heading to the NFL, no doubt. Austin Pettis, what he's done with touchdowns, unbelievable, particularly in the red zone. And then the deep threat, Titus Young. You saw him the opening play, get deep behind the defense. He is very close to becoming the career receiving yard leader here at Boise State.
Impact players brought to you by Tommy Hilfiger, 2-star receivers for the Broncos. 3rd and 1. Martin, and he dives forward and gets a fresh set of downs for the Broncos.
When you talk about those impact players, we had the pleasure of seeing Boise State last week with Tim Brown, the great Tim Brown, and he said, you know, watching those two guys, no doubt NFL players in his mind.
Coach Peterson, of course, 2-time Bear Bryant National Coach of the Year. Spent some time with him yesterday. He says, I want guys relaxed. I want guys enthused, smiles on their face. A lot of pressure here in November. They've been a loose bunch when we've been to their walkthroughs the past couple weeks. Martin again. And nowhere to go that time as Kyle Knox came up and made that play along with Ben Jacobs.
Well, Tess, this Fresno State defense is undersized but fast, and they've struggled at times against the run up front. Carter on the outside, excellent pass rusher. Harrell also. They both have 9 sacks on the season. Vin Jacobs in the middle at linebacker, a 4-year starter, will be tested inside with the running attack. And then the key in the secondary, Phillip Thomas in the middle. Can he keep Moore from throwing the deep ball?
Play action. Moore steps up and just shovels it forward to Martin. And here goes Doug Martin. A stiff arm and a little more. How about that? Logan Harrell put the pressure on Kellen Moore, and Kellen just made something of it.
Well, Tess, you're not always going to be able to get rid of the ball from the classic position. Quarterback's job is get that ball out. Look what he does there. Kind of a Brett Favre underhand throw to Martin. Not always going to be perfect. You're going to get harassed in the pocket, but can you still deliver the football?
17 yards that time. The improv job by Moore and Martin. And this time Martin is taken down as Chris Carter just knifed in there behind the line of scrimmage. Carter among the national sack leaders, comes into tonight with 9. Pat Hill, of course, 14 years, Rod, at Fresno. Tough as nails, Pat Hill.
1-8 against Boise State. Feels like he's got a team that, although it's young, has the character to handle this environment.
Moore. And that is intercepted. He lofted it up to the 10-yard line, and Philip Thomas was waiting for it. Looked like it may have been deflected up at the line of scrimmage from Pritchett.
Yeah, I think that ball was tipped. I think that's 94 Pritchett that gets his hand on it. Watch to the right side. 94 standing there. He's shadowing Moore, and he does get that right hand on it. That's one of the few times that Boise State has been turned away when they've gotten deep into the opponent's territory.
And only the 5th interception that Kellen Moore has thrown this year. So on comes Ryan Colburn and Robbie Rouse and that Fresno offense. And he tries to get rid of it before the pressure got to him. That's an incomplete pass as Billy Wynn, the big defensive tackle, was all over Ryan Colburn.
Yeah, well, you know, we talked about the need to throw on first down. I mean, they're so worried about this Boise State defensive line and how good they are against the run that they try to get something done on first down. And Billy Wynn shows you exactly why that line is so good. He's strong, he's quick, he beats his man, and he calls the pressure there.
So Colburn comes out as they go Isaiah Burse and their Wildcat formation. Burse, a true freshman receiver. And he throws it. Jamal Hamler trying to shake free and finding little room. Brandon Thompson and Winston Venable quick to get all over Hamler.
Yeah, Wildcat with Burse, who was a multi-purpose player in high school. Played some quarterback, not afraid to throw the football. Threw it last couple of weeks ago, actually.
Had a 43-yard touchdown pass.
Yep, exactly. But this is a tough territory to have a youngster throwing the ball. Now you're backed up, and you can't let Boise State get off to the fast start. It starts to just become a tidal wave when you get bad field position and they get a score, and it goes on and on.
So Colburn now facing a 3rd and 11. Play clock counting down. And that is incomplete as Billy Wynn once again was getting pressure on Colburn.
Yeah, well, this defensive front and the use of the blitz, they mix and match their front with their linebackers as well as anyone. Look at the right side. Now you see the pressure coming off from the right side as they use Taylor, who's normally a corner, number 21, is now one of the extra blitzers.
So Andrew Shapiro punting from the end zone as Mitch Burrows is at midfield for the Broncos. Takes a Fresno bounce. Fresno State and number 4 Boise State scoreless early on.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Responsibility. What's your policy?
Glad you're with us here in Boise. Joe Tessitore alongside Ron Gilmore. Downtown Boise. Not far away here from Broncos Stadium, where Boise State has never lost to a WAC opponent. Moore loses the ball. And that is being ruled incomplete as Logan Harrell was quick to jump on it. But these are cold and damp conditions here tonight.
Yeah, now was the arm coming forward? That's the question. I think that's a fumble. That ball came out before his arm moved forward. He lost it on the back.
Exactly.
Wow.
He actually loses the ball and then hits it again as his arm goes forward, so they will take a look here.
Yeah.
Ken Luschid, our replay official here with this WAC crew.
Well, you mentioned it. We were down on the field before the game. It is cold, wet, slippery, tough conditions.
Pat Hills hoping to get this football. We'll be back as they take a look. This is what happened moments ago, and it was indeed reviewed and ruled a fumble. Fresno State recovers.
Yep, the ball comes out before Kellen Moore's arm starts going forward, and that's a fumble. Replay officials are right on top of it.
And now the officiating crew is taking some additional time. Fresno, they gave the ruling to the crowd. Fresno ran out into the field, lining up over the ball. And now they are ready to get back to action. So back-to-back turnovers for Kellen Moore. That's a rarity. This is one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country who takes care of the ball, manages the game well, throws an interception, and then has that fumble. So Fresno starts from the 35. Robbie Rouse. And Rouse tries to dig ahead for a gain of 3. George Iloka with the tackle.
You know, Tess, we talked to Pat Hill about his offense and about Coburn and his need to play smart, to make good decisions, and to take care of the football. And they're in an area, they've got such a great field goal kicker. They could get off to a good start. They want to make sure they take care of the ball and don't let Boise State start fast.
That's been how Boise has got it done all year long, jumping out in front. Colburn, pressure off the edge, and he goes down. Winston Venable comes in, a flag comes down, but Venable came in like a bullet.
Illegal shift, offense. The penalty will be declined. 3rd down.
All right, here he is, Tess. Is he coming or not? They have to figure it out. They're counting guys. They don't think he's coming. He's free. He gets the free shot. You have to make sure you account for all those guys, but they give you a lot of different looks.
One of the top defenses in the country. Ranked 2nd in scoring defense.
Well, if you're Pat Hill, you're thinking about a play that gets you into field goal range.
So Fresno calls the timeout just before the snap. And with the timeout, let's check in with the studio and Michael Yam.
All right, Mike Yam with this in-game update. We start things off in Boston. Boy, it came down to the wire. Delonte West with an opportunity to tie off the mark. The Thunder, they win. Russell Westbrook 31.6 times. No Kevin Durant in this basketball game. We got ourselves a good one on the U. North Carolina taking on Minnesota. Blake Hoffarber, the 3, puts the Golden Gophers up by 3. Joe, Rob.
Thanks, Mike. Rod, you talked about how important it would be for Fresno to get on the board early here. Pat Hill told us, says he knows that's what you have to do against Boise. Boise hasn't trailed since the 4th quarter of that opening game against Virginia Tech. They've scored first in all 9 games.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you about something. They remind me of a team from a few years ago. We'll talk about it.
3rd and 15. Colburn, now pressure from Wynn. And he just throws it away. So the fumble and that prime field position, and the Fresno offense unable to gain any ground with that field position there.
Think about what that defense did. That defense has taken 2 turnovers and not let it hurt Boise State. And that fumble, which was in their territory, they pushed Fresno State back, so that this game has resulted in nothing really for Fresno State, even though they got the 2 takeaways.
3 straight 3-and-outs for Fresno. Shapiro back on to punt. And Chris Potter inside the 10. And it sails into the end zone. Of course, all the talk of the BCS hopes for Boise, but obviously the WAC on the line. They're going to have that showdown game with Nevada. Still a lot of work here to do tonight. this top 4 in the WAC has had a very strong year.
Yeah, but you know, no one really talks about the race in the WAC. Nevada obviously still alive. It's all the focus on the BCS and a possible showdown game with Nevada next week that could be for an awful lot at stake for Boise State.
And Nevada's only loss was by way of a tip pass interception late at Hawaii. Doug Martin. And Martin with a good burst for a 7-yard gain, finally ridden down by Lauren Bell.
Is there a harder running back in college football?
How about that touchdown run he had last week?
I tell you, he's not a big guy, but he's a powerful runner.
5'9", 212 pounds. He goes straight ahead. Then, of course, they have the complement with Jeremy Avery, who's the shifty speed back, who you will see. And once again, Martin in a first down and still grinding away as he's able to get it out to the 35. So not the start for Kellen Moore that he's used to.
No, we're used to seeing Kellen Moore come out and throw touchdown passes, not open up by throwing picks off of a tip that Thomas is better able to get a hold of there, and not losing the ball out of his hand in this cold weather, which results in another turnover.
First down for Kellen and company now. And he's able to quickly get it to Shoemaker, and Shoemaker with a gain of 9.
Yeah, Tess, I made a reference to a team of the past.
Yes, in terms of the fast starts.
Yeah, remember the 49ers, Bill Walsh, Joe Montana, the Steve Young era, Jerry Rice. That whole philosophy was really jump out, shock and awe you, get up on the board early, make you change your game plan, and play from behind. And they did it to perfection. That's the model Boise State uses offensively.
Jeremy Avery now looking to take the direct snap here. On 2nd and 2, they run the option. Jeremy Avery, here he goes. Avery, a flag is down in the backfield as Avery is able to get a big gainer there on 2nd and 2, but we'll wait for the call.
Yeah, well, he got a great block on the edge and by one of his wide receivers, but it may be coming back.
It may be too good of a block.
Holding. Offense number 75. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. 2nd down.
That negates a 29-yard gain, the holding call on big Faraji Wright. Well, remember a week ago at Idaho when they could do no wrong in that 28-zip first quarter? Different scene tonight.
I tell you, if this keeps up, they're going to change the orange back to the blue in a hurry.
Martin now. And another flag comes in.
Yeah, they may get Jacobs on a face mask.
Sean Plummer was in there as well as Jacobs.
It's actually Plummer, it looked like.
Personal foul. Face mask. Defense. 15-yard penalty. Automatic. First down.
Now look to your right. You'll see it right there. Watch the hand as it comes up. That's Plummer. Got to get that face mask and turn it. Good call by the official.
So a first down now at the 46. Moore gets away from the pressure. Downfield and has it complete to Austin Pettis. Pressure came from Plummer, and Moore just stepped out of the way.
Well, he tends to leak out to the left when he feels pressure. That's one of his tendencies, and you see he feels it from Plummer and again goes to his left and finds time. I'm just still confused about the orange uniforms. Do you lose your powers?
Yeah, first time. So conditioned to seeing the blue on blue and trying to find those receivers. Now all in orange for the Broncos tonight. Here's Martin. And Doug Martin hard running down to the 21-yard line before Chris Carter corralled him. course, they've had a lot of success this year when they do get into scoring position.
Yeah, down in the red zone, it's been an awful lot of Kellen Moore. He's been fantastic, and normally he looks for Austin Pettis. Look at those numbers. 23 of 39 attempts to Pettis, 18 touchdowns dating back to 2009. His favorite target down here.
Martin on 2nd and 3. And just lowers those pads and picks up the first down. Doug Martin from Stockton, California. Played defense earlier in his career. Rod, I remember coming up here having a few games where Doug Martin was playing that hybrid nickelback position.
Well, they had lots of running backs. They were trying to get him on the field. He played some nickel and played a little running back.
Moore gives away to Martin here. And Martin working his way down to the 10-yard line. Lauren Bell came up from that strong safety position to get to him.
You know, for all the talk about Boise State and trickeration and Kellen Moore throwing the ball, at heart, Chris Peterson's team is a physical running football team.
That's a change from what they once were. And I think people were slow to catch on to that.
Yeah, you know, it announced itself late last year, and they've really just pushed it forward more and more.
And get a first down at the 7. Martin looking for more than that. Driving ahead inside the 5. And remember what we said about scoring first and how they've gone about their business. Scoring first in all 9 games this season. Haven't trailed since that Virginia Tech back and forth game week 1.
I tell you though, if Martin looks to his left, that's a touchdown. You know, he's been big on this drive.
He's been a workhorse.
Yeah, he's been the physical nature of this offense. But a little slide to the left, he had a touchdown.
So 1st and goal as Kellen wants to talk things over. Boise is right on the doorstep of breaking through. Stay with us.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by the Volkswagen Sign Then Drive event, where you can drive away in a VW for practically just your signature. And Taco Bell, think outside the bun.
That's the World Center for Birds of Prey, about 15 minutes from downtown Boise. Broncos with a 1st and goal in what's been a long run-oriented drive with Doug Martin leading the way with 44 yards.
3 tight end set now.
And here is Martin. And he was stacked up quickly by Philip Thomas and Ben Jacobs. Quick to get to that ball carrier.
That 3 tight end set also with Dan Paul in the backfield. And Paul, that lead blocker, 241 pounds. Now you're talking about an awful lot of big guys in there. Now they even go bigger. They bring in their defensive end, Winterswijk. Ryan Winterswijk is in there. That's a defensive end to add bulk.
Hey, he's been begging for the ball out of this formation, we've been told. Martin trying to get to the edge. Nothing doing. Good pursuit by Lauren Bell.
Flushing everything outside. Bell coming up from his safety spot to pick up everything that is spilled out there to him. 20 on the inside. Moving to the outside. You'll see him show up in a minute. Right there.
Pat Hill not intimidated by Boise in this setting. He loves this kind of game. One of only 2 WAC teams to beat Boise in the last 7 years.
Wow.
And that is not what is often the case here, as Chris Carter came in with the pressure.
What a
and
job.
The Boise offense.
Oh. Yeah.
Last time they were shut out in the 1st quarter. Hey.
Wow. What a job. 1st and 4. And the Fresno State defense shuts down the running attack and gives Kellen Moore pressure, nowhere to go with the football.
So on comes Kyle Brotzman. 20-yard chip shot after the offense stalls. Senior place kicker puts it through. So Boise does indeed score first, just not with the dynamic offense and the big sevens that we usually see from them. Saturday afternoon, ABC, Big Ten action. Number 9, Ohio State into Iowa to face the Hawkeyes. College football presented by Kay Jewelers, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC.
Well, they're your top 4 teams in the Big Ten. Are we going to get any clarity this weekend? Right now, a 3-way tie for that race for the Rose Bowl. And if it stays that way and they all win out, Wisconsin would likely be the highest rated in the BCS, and that's your tiebreaker. Now, if you have a head-to-head matchup between Wisconsin and Michigan State would win by virtue of having played them and beaten them in head-to-head competition.
Of course, Wisconsin is at Michigan tomorrow. That's noon on ESPN. It's a strange weekend slate of college football with Oregon, Auburn, and TCU all off, leaving Boise as the highest-ranked team in action here tonight.
And so Boise State has an opportunity to take advantage of that. I'm just wondering if the switch to the orange uniforms didn't affect their karma, because they have not been dominant in this opening quarter.
Harmon to kick, Slocum and Burse back deep. And this is Isaiah Burse. And Burse able to get out past the 30-yard line.
But Tess, the Boise State defense has still been solid. All the offense has struggled, and it's all about that front and the pressure they put on you. Billy Wynn inside, getting to Colbert. And then they bring Billy Wynn again with a nickel blitz. Venable from the outside. They continue to bring the pressure on the pocket, and they have kept Fresno State from finding any rhythm offensively.
Little Robbie Rouse, the lone back here behind Colburn. Little guy with big stats. Colburn sprinting to the near side and incomplete as he was trying to reach out to A.J. Johnson.
Well, Fresno State having trouble with that Boise State defense. And remember, one of those possessions, they had it in Boise State territory after a fumble by Kellen Moore. But they've gotten nothing, particularly on the ground. And their approach right now is to throw the ball on first down to try to shorten up second and third down. So far, they haven't gotten much on first down.
Colburn's missed his last 5. Here's Rouse now. Robbie Rouse, and look at him go. Crosses midfield. 5'7", Robbie Rouse, who last week became the first Bulldog in history with more than 200 rushing yards in back-to-back games.
The right side of the line did such a great job on that. And Rouse was able to quickly find the seam. And just take a look at what you're going to get here in that double team there. It's going to clear everything open for him. He finds that seam right away and is able to get in behind it.
23-yard run by the sophomore back. Colburn. And that was almost intercepted. Jerron Johnson went up for it as it was underthrown to a streaking Jamel Hamler.
Yeah, Jerron Johnson wants another shot at that one. And they're trying to get to Hamler, number 17, the inside receiver there. Johnson shows up. Perfect spot right there. Pick it up. Goes right through his hands. Tough night, cold weather.
And once again here, Isaiah Burse, the true freshman, their Wildcat speed quarterback, comes in here. He's going to keep it himself, and he shakes free from the initial would-be tackler and still charging ahead close to the 40-yard line. A grinded out first quarter by Pat Hill here in the cold, damp weather. Boise only up a field goal. Number 4 up 3-zip to start the second quarter here. Of course, they're hoping they get a chance to play for that. The Coach's Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper, presented to the winner of the Tostitos BCS National Championship game. Be on ESPN Monday, January 10th at 8:30. So Isaiah Burse on 3rd and 5. They go Wildcat. They hand it off to Rouse, and he is stacked up immediately. All orange all over Robbie Rouse, Jarrell Root, and J.P. Nisby.
Well, and I understand what Pat Hale is doing. I mean, they're struggling to throw the football. He's in the game. The momentum is sort of his way. Karma's kind of working with him, and he's playing the field position game right now.
Andrew Shapiro back on to punt yet again. Chris Potter positioned down just inside the 10-yard line. Remember, last week he had a 76-yard return for a touchdown against Idaho. And Potter calls for the fair catch at the 11. The All-State BCS standings this week. Idle's a pretty good opponent, Ron.
Yeah. Having a good week.
Very popular opponent, huh?
Oregon, Auburn, TCU not doing anything, and Boise State, the top team playing this weekend, and Boise State sitting at number 4 in the BCS standings, but they jumped TCU in the human polls after TCU struggled with San Diego State last weekend, and so Boise State is in position to jump over TCU should they play well this week and likely next week.
Still a lot of work to do for the Broncos. Here's Jeremy Avery. And Avery charges ahead to the 20-yard line before he finds Philip Thomas and Ben Jacobs.
I bet there are people at home who can actually see Boise State now since they're wearing orange instead of blue.
As a play-by-play guy all the way up here in the Skybacks, I am not complaining about the change to the all orange.
Well,
the
other
blue
teams,
on blue on blue was the ultimate challenge in calling
other
their
teams
games.
have always complained about not being able to find guys when they're blue on blue.
First time they've ever gone all orange here at home. Avery again. Breaks free and gets the first down, ridden out by Ben Jacobs. Rod, there was a time when Boise did not wear their blue uniforms at home because they were actually the road team for a bowl game here back in 2005, and they lost to Boston College. So the only other time they didn't wear the blue, they were wearing white then, though, they lost to BC.
Interesting.
Tonight, they decide to go all orange for the first time. Avery getting some work now as the featured back. Play action for Kellen. Winds up, lofts it, looking for Titus Young, and he gets it. The big play receiver, Titus Young, secures it.
And Kellen Moore got knocked around for one of the few times this season. Watch him stand in and deliver, but he's going to take the hit. He doesn't often get hit. And that time he was hit by Brown. Travis Brown came around and got him. But Titus Young is the deep threat, and he will beat man coverage when you do that to him. He takes a nice route, outside release, and gets beyond Green.
And in fact, Kellen Moore is going to take this play off as Jeremy Avery will line up for the direct snap. Michael Coughlin, a backup quarterback, is actually in the game here. Avery just able to get about a half a yard as Philip Thomas came up and made the tackle.
You know, Fresno State is not big up front, but they've done enough to move around and shift their line and use their quickness to their advantage. Chris Carter, not a big defensive end, but he's used his speed and that first quick step to anchor that edge and allow his teammates to come up and clean things up.
Avery comes in motion back to the backfield with Kellen Moore. Pressure right up the middle. Sets up the screen for Young. And a good defensive play by Lauren Bell.
Wow.
Logan Harrell came in, applied some pressure, and then Lauren Bell just played smart defense.
Yeah, he slipped the block and got in and made the tackle. But let's go back and take a look about Kellen Moore and Titus Young. That connection has really been something. We saw another 40-yard play by them. Look at what they've done. 10 of 11, 460 yards, 6 touchdowns this season. They come up with the big play.
3rd and 9 now. Steps up in the pocket. And going up for it was Pettis. And Pettis secures it at the 16-yard line, so a first down for Boise.
Yeah, L.J. Jones on the coverage, backup cornerback, but that's a tough assignment. Pettis, 6'3", great hands. Uses his body to protect the football. Look where he is. Body protection keeps L.J. Jones on his backside.
You see Pettis limping off the field a bit there. 13-yard reception on 3rd and 9. He's their bigger target in this area. Goes 6'3". Fly sweep, Titus Young. Young just scoots out at about the 12-yard line.
But
40 straight games with a catch for Titus Young. Closing in on becoming the all-time leading receiver in terms of yardage here for the Broncos.
Well, and they feature him with the deep ball and that fly sweep. He is very explosive, very fast. Nice compliment to their ground attack.
Guy who projects at the next level because of his speed. A lot of shifting as Avery is to the far side now. Moore takes a look on the slant, and Young takes a big hit. Lorne Bell and Isaiah Green with coverage, and Bell just comes in and smashes Titus Young.
Well, Bell is sitting there in a zone looking this up. Help on the inside. Here it comes. Zone coverage. Green on the outside. And here comes Bell from the inside.
It'll make for a 1st and goal at the 5. And once again, defensive end Ryan Winterswijk in on offense here. Avery plows forward down close to the 1-yard line.
It's not often your defensive end gets a chance to get in here and have the team run to his side. Winterswijk gets in there, and they will run right behind him with the block there. He does a nice job holding off Carter. A chance to play a little offense there.
2nd and goal. Avery remains featured back in that I formation. And Avery tackled this time right at the line of scrimmage, as Ben Jacobs as well as Cornell Banks were quick to get to Avery.
How good has Fresno State been inside the 5-yard line? I mean, they've held Boise State out on what, 4 or 5 running attempts inside the 5 now?
To me, it's a typical Pat Hill team in a big spot.
Yep.
You watch Fresno through the years. This is how they like to step up and play some hard-nosed football. 3rd and goal. Avery. This time, Doug Martin comes in, and Martin brings it in. So Doug Martin crashes it home for the Broncos. And Rod, those fast starts, this wasn't one, but nonetheless they build up that double-digit lead that they often do.
Well, thanks to the great vision of Martin, he feels it back to the inside, sees the over pursuit by Jacobs, and cuts back in for the touchdown. Great vision by Martin.
Rotzman makes it 10. So 7 times coming in tonight, they build up that double-digit lead before allowing a score, and you can make it 8 now. Storm the Dorm when we return. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore with you here in Boise. 10-zip, number 4 up. Time for Storm the Dorm here at Boise State. Once thought of as the state capital's commuter school, but now Bronco Nation in form here, as we found out at Kaiser Hall.
Hi, I'm Alexa Alexa Walker. I'm the president of Kaiser Hall. We're here today in Kaiser on the Boise State University campus. I have Zach Snodderly here with me. Zach, what can you tell us about what's going on today?
Well, we got some poster making going on today for the game tomorrow, and as you can see, Bronco Nation is alive and well. We've come a long ways from 10 years ago when we were mainly a commuter campus, so we're really excited with all the success of Boise State's football program to be able to really promote some traditions, one of which you all can support. It's Bronco Fan Friday, so wear your blue and orange. Let's hear it from Bronco Nation.
You know, Rod, I think that's a good point. They talk about how much this thing has grown through the years. For a lot of people, it's still hard for them to believe. They still shake their head at the thought that this is a major football power.
Yeah, and look at the things that they do. I mean, they decided to have an orange out tonight, and so they put all these orange slickers on sale in the bookstore, and everybody went out and bought them. And they changed from their blue parkas to the orange ones.
And the team fell right in line. There's Isaiah Burse. Good return by Burse out to the 37. Building a program brought to you by Craftsman.
Well, you see Boise State over the years, WAC dominance, 7 WAC championships, a couple of second-place finishes, great coaching through the years, some of the outstanding names, 6 undefeated seasons. Dan Hawkins was here before moving on to Colorado and turning the program over to Chris Peterson. 38-0 at home. That's dominating a conference.
Robbie Rouse. And just a gain of a couple for Fresno's young feature back.
Well, Rouse has certainly been productive, replacing Ryan Matthews now with the San Diego Chargers. Not the same kind of back, not the big strapping top-end speed back, but great lateral quickness. They list him at 5'7". I'm not buying it.
No, he is such a small guy, but very capable. Back-to-back 200-yard games for Rouse. They work him again here. Not much to find. You saw all the success that Boise State has had in the WAC, but things are going to change come next year.
Well, it's fair to say that the top 4 programs in the WAC are moving to the Mountain West. Now, where does that leave the WAC? You see the timing for the years that they're joining. Not clear about Hawaii yet, but Hawaii announced last night that they have sort of an agreement in principle to move on to the Mountain West. Whither the WAC after all that?
4th time in 12 years that the WAC will need to be rebuilt. 3rd and 6, and Colburn loses that snap. Just looking to make something of this now, and throws it out as he was about to be taken down that time by Chase Baker.
Both quarterbacks have struggled with ball handling. It's cold, it's wet. The ball is hard. He never quite got control of that one with his right hand. Kellen Moore also struggled, had a fumble early. Both quarterbacks have dealt with this cold, wet night and have had some issues with it.
The 4th 3 and out for Fresno in 5 possessions. This Boise defense has been such a big story this year in terms of their success. So Shapiro punting away, and at the 10 is Burrows, and Burrows with a good return. Mitch Burrows still shaking free all the way out to the 45-yard line. A 35-yard return by Mitch Burrows here on the blue. A cold, damp night, but things now heating up for the home team.
ESPN ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Lexus. This is the pursuit of tomorrow. This is the pursuit of perfection. And BF Goodrich Tires.
Beautiful look at the state capitol here in Boise, Idaho. And getting ready for the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, up here it's that holiday time of the year where they're overwhelmed with BCS talk. Number 4, Boise trying to impress tonight. A slow start for the Broncos. Kellen Moore checks at the line. Moore, Titus Young, midfield, able to break free to the 43.
You know, Tess, you get the sense that they're starting to warm up. Look at the first couple of drives. No points, couple of turnovers, very few first downs. The last 2 drives, they got points. They got a lot of first downs, and they got a lot of yards. They're starting to get into that rhythm, and this is the dangerous area for Fresno State, where the onslaught can come. You have to make sure you withstand that.
Moore on first down. Taking a shot downfield. Titus Young. Just like that. Heat up, yeah, like a microwave rod. Instant offense. 42-yard touchdown catch by Titus Young.
You know, they are so good at picking out what you're playing. When they see the man coverage, they know how to attack it.
And Brotzman, who's closing in on becoming the all-time leading scorer here, the all-time leading scorer for the WAC, makes it 17-7.
Kellen Moore, Titus Young, what a combination they've been this season, and they just did it again. Back here at Boise State, 17-0. Tess, this is what Kellen Moore sees. When he sees you got nothing there, it's very easy for him to say, you know what? I know I can beat you deep with Titus Young. I see the coverage right now. He knows there's no safety help. He's got man coverage. He figured it out in a hurry. 6 points.
Titus Young, 5 catches, over 100 yards, that 42-yard touchdown. All his receptions came on the last 2 drives. They were a little slow to engage in this game, but now you get the sense they're going downhill.
Well, he's got that record now, career receiving yards here at Boise State. But this Boise State team, you know, they score in bunches. They come after you in bunches.
Burst from the 5. And he spins to the 31-yard line. Celebrating its 6 years sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, All-State makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, All-State has contributed more than $2.3 million in scholarship monies.
That number just keeps on growing.
Titus Young keeps helping it for these televised Boise games. And now Fresno, who has tried to play some hard-nosed defense, needs their offense to contribute. And Colburn is able to connect with Rouse out of the backfield. Jerron Johnson with a big hit, but a first down for Fresno.
Well, this is the critical time for Fresno State, and Pat Hill knows it. They have got to get some yards, and the passing game has to pick up. Saunders, the freshman, makes a nice grab here. They have to keep the Boise State offense off the field for a while. They can't let them come back in a hurry because they'll go right back after them.
Here's Rouse now. Just able to get a yard there as Winston Venable made the tackle. Now, Robbie Rouse Had a big week last week in what could have been an upset of Nevada. Had 286 yards against Louisiana Tech.
Well, that Louisiana Tech game, 43 carries.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, he's a strong guy. He's not tall, but he's certainly strong. Great vision, great lateral quickness.
Colburn now. Couldn't escape. As Tyrone Crawford went for his legs and tripped up Ryan Colburn.
Well, Crawford makes the play. There was also pressure that was forcing Colbert out to the right side. Billy Wynn comes from the left side. But Colbert has to sneak around, and there you see the play again made by Crawford, who was just crawling to get there.
And there is Byron Hout, starting linebacker, who will miss the rest of the regular season with a broken foot, cheering on that all-orange defense. 3rd and 20. And right at the line to make is A.J. Johnson.
What a tough catch. What a tough catch that Fresno State had to have. The redshirt freshman Johnson runs an inside route, knows he's going to take the hit, and that nice touch by Colbert puts it right where only his guy sees it. What a great, great play for Fresno State.
Now, they had been 0 for 5 on 3rd downs prior to that. 21 yards on that 3rd and 20. You can see there is a injured defender, and the medical staff is tending to. ABC's Saturday Night Football delivers regional action for you tomorrow. Most of the nation is going to see Taylor Martinez and number 8 Nebraska against Texas A&M. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC.
You know, Nebraska can win the Big 12 North with the win or a Missouri loss. And that Nebraska offense, boy, has Taylor Martinez really done something to that offense. Increase in points per game, rushing yardage, and how about just the number of big plays Martinez delivers from the line of scrimmage?
Ricky Chongachu, backup defensive tackle, now making his way off the field. They rotate in a lot of defensive linemen to the Broncos. A new defensive coordinator, Pete Kwiatkowski, who was a pretty intense defensive lineman himself.
Well, he's got something going with his defensive line because they have played lights out this season. I mean, that's the difference to me in this Boise State defense. That defensive line is top-notch with some elite players like Billy Wynn.
So a fresh set of downs for the Bulldogs. Colburn to pass again. And this is complete again to Hamler. It's a well-thrown ball. Easy to catch for Hamler as Johnson pushed him out. And now Fresno on the move.
Well, we've talked about the touch. I mean, Colbert has great touch. And watch what he does here. I mean, this is a tough, cold environment. Puts a nice catchable ball out there. Hamler comes up with it. They continue to move. They're keeping that defensive line out. Colbert's had time the last couple of throws. Now expect the heat to come from Boise State.
Burse and Rouse in the backfield here on 1st down. And Burse goes to the slot. Here comes pressure, and Hamler did not turn his head as Colburn just had to get rid of it.
Yeah, you know, they all knew. We knew, Pat Hill knew, everybody knew the pressure was going to come. The question was, could you find it? Everybody found it except the youngster, Hamler.
And Billy Wynn is such a big part of the success of this Boise defense this year, and Jerron Johnson. And now the crowd here at Broncos Stadium They come to life a bit as Fresno is threatening to score.
Where does the pressure come from? Can they identify it?
Off the edge. Colburn steps up. Now from behind, ball comes loose. Boise football. Ryan Winterswike able to jump on it as Shane McClellan came charging in on Ryan Colburn.
Well, that's one of the issues, and Pat Hill talked to us about it. Don't try and make something when it's not there, and he's talking to Colburn now. They didn't identify the pressure, and now he's trying to make another play against a really good defense, and nothing's there, and he has no awareness that Winterswike and company were coming.
McClellan from behind swipes down at that arm.
Yeah, just like we saw with Kellen Moore, the arm was not moving forward.
Doug Martin lowers ahead to the 33-yard line. Rod, we've talked about it a few times this year, and everybody gets caught up in looking at Kellen Moore and Titus Young and Austin Pettis and the gimmicks and the trick plays on offense.
Yeah.
But this year, it is that front four and all those guys they rotate in on defense that have been the difference makers.
This is an elite defense.
And now Moore to pass. And an easy pitch and catch close to that line to make to Austin Pettis. It'll depend on the spot.
You know, that was a huge turnover. Fresno State had things going, a chance to score and cut into the momentum, but that defense from Boise State was stellar and came up with another stop. Look at what they've done this season. They are tops in just about every category. Number 2 in scoring defense, rush yardage, number 2, total yards, number 3.
First down for Boise. Moore's completed his last 7. Pressure up the middle, flings it out there. And it goes harmlessly out of bounds as Titus Young was looking around saying maybe it's coming my way.
Fresno State taking some chances, bringing the blitz, going to the single coverage, and they guessed right. They were able to get closer to Moore and force him to get rid of it sooner than he wanted and before Titus Young could recognize it. I tell you, though, that's scary. That one-on-one coverage with Young hasn't been a good matchup for Fresno State tonight.
Second and 10 now for Kellen. And he is able to get it to Titus Young. And Young right there at midfield as he came back for the ball.
And Moore is so adept at sneaking out, leaking out to the left side. He knows where his receivers will be. Young comes back to him, but he tends to scramble to that left side.
It's a 3rd and 1 now. Kellen can throw right in the hands of Gabe Linehan, and he drops it.
You know, he had choices. He chose Linehan, who was the shorter receiver. He had one deeper. And now on 4th down, they may go for this. But Linehan is to the left, wide open, the short guy. He also had a deeper shot, but chose to go for the first down.
So on 4th and 1, they sent on the special teams as Brotzman is out to punt.
Delay. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
You know, this is the first time in a long time that Pat Hill has been such an underdog in a game. I mean, Boise State is, what, about a 30-point favorite?
They are. You know, well, Pat Hill has played some of the big boys of the game. They took #1 USC in 2005, that 50-42 game.
Yeah.
But this is the biggest underdog that the Maine Bulldogs ever been.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of pressure on Boise State because the public expects Boise State to win and win big.
Rugby style kick here. Saunders taken down at the 20. So Ryan Colburn will come back out to see what he can do in the last minute 35.
Mike Evans studio with you. Coming up on the Wendy's halftime report, Mark May and Lou Holtz will join me. We'll talk about Boise State and Fresno State. We'll break down that first half. We'll also talk to Wisconsin head coach Brett Bielema. Not to mention, we'll check in at Wrigley Field for football. Yeah, I'm not making that up. It's all coming up at the half. Joe, Rod, back to you.
All right, thanks, Mike. You know, Chris Peterson, everybody talking to him about the BCS. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? You saw TCU's Gary Patterson lobbying all day up at ESPN. He said if that's what he needs to do, as far as I'm concerned, we've just got a lot of football to play.
Yeah, he says he doesn't get involved in the drama, as he calls it, or the noise. He says, look, we're just going to play. No lobbying, no talking, just going to play. And he says he doesn't pay attention to the public's expectation that you win and win by a lot. Style points, he says, doesn't matter to him.
Right now up 17. Colburn, pressure again from that front four, and tries to run ahead and is able to pick up about 4.5 yards that time as Winston Venable came up after the pressure made Colburn scoot out.
Yeah, and Pat Hill wants Colburn to be careful when he's improvising.
Second charge timeout. This will be a 30-second charge timeout.
You know, Tess, 4 undefeated teams.
By Boise State. That is Boise State's second charge timeout. That will be a 30-second charge timeout.
4 undefeated teams in the BCS vying for the championship. You take a look at what they have left and what the opportunities are, and immediately TCU jumps out because they only have 1 game left, and it's against a New Mexico team that has struggled. So the chances for TCU to gain more points and more momentum, not there.
No, how could TCU possibly jump forward with just New Mexico left?
Right.
Meanwhile, obviously, Oregon and Auburn have major challenges ahead, and as does Boise next week, playing at Nevada.
Yeah.
A Nevada team, number 18 in the country, who can score a ton of points. We saw what they did to Cal earlier this year, and look what Cal just did with Oregon. Colin Kaepernick is as dangerous a playmaker as there is in college football, and this Boise team has to go to Nevada next week.
I think that's right, and I think a lot of folks overlook that, and I think, you know, Coach Pete Pearson said that. He said tonight's like a play-in game for them to have a shot to have a big game with Nevada. So he understands that next week is really big. I still think there's a lot left, and don't count out the possibility that a one-loss SEC team, can you say Auburn, would still be in the hunt for a title game should they lose a game.
No, next Friday is going to be an amazing day of college football with those 3 teams playing. And almost an amazing catch by Jamal Hamler, but he was separated from the ball by Jerron Johnson.
You know, about that SEC thing, I think there is a realistic possibility that should Auburn lose to Alabama and then go back, let's say it's a good loss, and then they show up in the championship game and beat South Carolina, there will be a lot of people around the country who will say, I'm going to vote a one-loss SEC champion over an undefeated TCU or an undefeated Boise State.
Well, I think next Friday is going to go a long way in determining everything. I think a lot is going to be cleared up with Oregon, Arizona, Auburn, Alabama, and then this Boise team at number 18, Nevada. Almost intercepted. Johnson made a diving attempt, and now still a minute 13 to go here in the half as Fresno will be punting.
Yeah, pressure. They jumped on the short routes. Johnson had a chance. That's the second one that's gone through his hands tonight.
Shapiro punt from the 10. Very dangerous return man, Chris Potter. And that kick goes out just at about the 46. All right, Rod, you've been scouting this all week, and it all comes down to this. The championship is on the line. Winner take all for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship between Denny Hamlin, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harlan. Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami, Sunday on ESPN at 1 Eastern.
Yeah, I think the pressure is on, and I think they're starting to feel it. Denny Hamlin is in first place now, has the lead, but Jimmy Johnson right behind him. And Hamlin and his squad felt the pressure last week. A fuel mismanagement issue, and that really cost them.
Should be interesting to see how that plays out. Kellen Moore to midfield. As Austin Pettis. Clock continues to run here under a minute. Moore. Pressure comes after him, and Titus Young is wide open. Titus Young breaks through a tackle and is inside the 30-yard line. Kellen Moore in a 2-minute drill. Watch out, he's like a surgeon.
Well, yeah, and he's got a choice here. Outside guy he's looking at, and he puts the defender in a bind. Do you take the short guy or the deep guy? You should always take the deep guy. He goes short. Kellen throws it behind him.
Well, this is where Coach Peterson talks about the fact that he's like having a coach on the field. He says he sees things before many of us do. 38 seconds here. Avery in motion out of the backfield now to the top side. Moore has time. And this is complete. Austin Pettis to the 21 and out.
Is there anybody with better hands than Austin Pettis?
He's got great hands, and Moore has phenomenal accuracy to put it there.
I tell you, genetics count for something. You and your uncle is Gary Pettis, Gold Glove, Major League Baseball, 12 years, and your grandfather Dale Rice, Major League player and manager. You come across hand-eye coordination by some genetics.
Yeah, the old Angel center fielder, and now Austin doing his thing here. Pettis now goes in motion. Kellen, and once again connects, and a big hit put on Tyler Shoemaker. Isaiah Green came up and met Shoemaker.
Kellen Moore is now the career passing yard leader, Boise State, over 9,800 yards. Passing Ryan Dinwiddie.
Well, Coach Pete is as confused as most here are at the stadium, looking up at that clock as it continued to run down.
Yeah, he was calling for a timeout, and it didn't show up. He managed to start to call for it.
And Kellen Moore just clocks the ball there.
Yeah.
Zeros are on the board now, but they're going to need to straighten this out. Seemed like there was about 21 seconds after that Shoemaker catch when he was leveled out of bounds.
Yeah, a very, very odd situation.
They're putting 21 seconds here on the stadium clock. Moore with time. And he overthrows Pettis. And a flag comes in. Wow. Desha Dunn had the coverage on Pettis.
I don't know. I saw Dunn in really great position on Pettis.
Pass interference. Defense number 24. That penalty is assessed at the spot of the foul, and an automatic first down.
So a first down at the 3-yard line. That ball was overthrown and done with that right hand simply in the small of the back.
You know, putting your hand on someone is not pass interference. That is not the. You must impede the receiver from catching the football. Putting your hand on in and of itself is not pass interference. That's by rule.
Kellen Moore to Pettis. Incomplete. Isaiah Green with coverage on the big target, Austin Pettis.
And I'm not even sure that that ball thrown before that play was even catchable.
Yeah, it was high. So 13 seconds remain as Chris Peterson had that clock issue straightened out with the official. Second and goal from the 3. Slow start to this game for Boise, but they're looking for a good finish before the half. Pettis, incomplete again.
Now that was closer to pass interference than the first one, as Green had Pettis wrapped up.
10 seconds remain.
Now that may be the even or makeup call, but right there, you're holding and you're grabbing. To me, that's impeding. That's pass interference. That arm is up high and he's turning him. That's pass interference. The other one was not.
Yeah, it looked like Green got that right hand up there around the shoulder area of Pettis. So 3rd and goal now. Sprints to the near side. Pressure comes. Kellen Moore, incomplete, and a flag comes in. What a soap opera it's been down here at the goal line here. 2 flags, one that wasn't called.
24 defense. That penalty was placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
And that's called on Disha Dunn, and just 5 seconds are on the game clock now. So with that, Kyle Brotzman
right
will
there.
come on.
And you could have had one there too. I mean, you got 2 guys all over receivers. They have their choice of calls right there.
And he puts it through. 2 20-yard field goals for Brotzman. He becomes Boise's all-time scoring leader with that field goal, and that closes out an odd half for the Broncos. Not what we're used to seeing, but the end result is still 20-zip for number 4.
Wow, great defense performance, but shaky offense.
Let's join Mike Yam, Mark May, and Lou Holtz back in the studio for the Wendy's halftime report. Gentlemen.
Welcome.
All right, guys, it is time for the Wendy's halftime. Boise State on top of Fresno State now 20-0, ties a season low for points for the Broncos in a first half. They were marching downfield. Both you guys said, you know what, it's okay, they're going to score. Not the type of points that we anticipated with the field goal down the stretch. Coach Holtz, though, you had said that even though it's just 20 points, you're not all that concerned. You think that this is a very complete football team. Why is that?
That sign was wrong. Mark is definitely wrong, not maybe wrong. He's wrong on that one. I want to tell you, Boise State is an outstanding football team. They have absolutely no weaknesses except one that I see. They can throw the football in Kellen Moore. They run the ball with Doug Martin. They're physical up front. They play outstanding defense. They have good kicking game. Here's the only thing that I do not like about the Boise State team. They're always talking. Great football team don't have to talk. They always seem to be putting the other team down, etc. You're a great football team. Keep your mouth shut and just go play the game. I love Boise State as a team. I don't like the way they're always talking to the opponent.
I'm sure at least Mark will give you an opportunity to be right about this. This is certainly an offense that gets a lot of praise, second in the FBS in terms of scoring. So we know we're always talking about this Broncos offense, but defensively, this team's defense actually helped them out early in this first quarter.
They definitely did. They can get after it. And if you look at their offense, they turned the ball over twice in the first quarter. It was their defense that saved them against this Fresno State offense. Robbie Rouse came in with 503 yards rushing his last 2 games. They've shut him down. And the quarterback, Ryan Colbert, has no room to throw the ball. He can't get set, can't get in a comfort zone in the pocket. They've been relentless at getting to the quarterback and crushing the quarterback passing pocket. And that's the key to this game. If you can stop the run and you can put pressure on a quarterback, you can dominate defensively where you can just start on the defensive side of the ball of dictating to the offense by running blitzes, running stunts, running whatever you want to tell the offense coach that you can't score, you can't get first downs, and that's exactly what Boise's done to the Fresno State offense.
They're just much better than Fresno State in every area of the football game.
I don't know about that much better. I think Fresno came to play. This is a very physical football game on both sides of the ball. If Fresno can make plays on offense, they could be right back into this game.
How many yards does Fresno State have at halftime?
75.
Oh, that's more than I thought.
Because they can't protect the quarterback.
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there. The digs keep coming fast and furious here on this set. Mark, a lot of times you are usually on point, though.
I could be right. I could be right.
But chances are you're wrong.
Sometimes he can be. Sometimes he can be. By the way, there's still
from the state capitol here in Boise, Idaho, and a view of the scoreboard shows the 4th-ranked Broncos up 20-0. Joe Tessitore and Rod Gilmore with you. You got the coats on, we got the gloves on. It's cold, it's damp, it's football weather in November, and it was a little cold and icy start for Boise State. Then they heated up in the second quarter, outscoring Fresno 17-0.
For the offense had a cold start. The defense was lights out from the beginning, but you're right. It's not what we're accustomed to seeing from Kellen Moore in this offense. A poor start. There was a fumble he had early on in the ball game, and also he threw a pick inside the 20-yard line. Kind of a tough start, but then he kind of got it going, got a couple big passes, and when he warmed up, that defense was still going. Billy Wynn, Venable, all of them putting pressure on Colburn, really throttling the Fresno State offense. Only 13 yards rushing in the first half for the Fresno State offense.
Game Track brought to you by Fidelity Investments. And Boise's Jarrell Gavins with a return close to the 25.
Well, Tess, there are the first half stats, and just not a lot of yardage for Fresno State. I mean, that just jumps out at you, the way the Boise State defense shut them down. A lot of time of possession for Boise State, and uncharacteristically 2 turnovers for Boise State.
But that defense against the Fresno Pat Hill's offense, 7 first half possessions for Pat Hill's team, 6 punts and a fumble.
Well, we've talked about it. The difference in Boise State this year, their defense.
Doug Martin stacked up by Cornell Banks. Martin had that touchdown run to make it a 10-zip game.
Well, again, this is a very physical offense. They believe in running the ball at you, and Doug Martin is a big part of that. He is a hard-running, powerful inside runner who shares time with the quick Avery.
Talked to Pat Hill about how physical this team is. Martin gets it to the 30. Hill had a very interesting comment, and actually you saw Brett Bielema at halftime in comparing them to Wisconsin. He said, I would rather play Wisconsin every week compared to Boise. I promise you Boise would beat Wisconsin by 2 to 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he thinks this is an elite football team in Boise State, and very difficult to prepare for because of all the things that they do. But he says, number one, they're a physical team on both sides of the ball.
3rd and 5 and more. Pressured from the pocket. And now scooting ahead is Doug Martin. Extra effort by Doug Martin. And a first down for the Broncos.
How does he always know where the guy is? And his guys always know when he's in trouble. Watch Martin avail himself to help him out. And although he's a powerful guy, he's got some shake to him. Moore knows once again he's come up with another play.
When the heat is on, he knows where all the options are. Moore steps up this time and gets it to Efall. And Efall pulls ahead to the 45-yard line, a gain of 9.
Well, the thing about Kellen Moore, you may not be wowed by his arm strength. You may not think, hey, there's an NFL quarterback, there's a first-round pick. But he is an outstanding college quarterback. He gets everything on the field, great in the pocket, savvy, understands everything out there, and throws a very catchable ball and throws it on time.
Passer rating is on course to be the all-time highest if he can maintain this level that he's been on this year. Moore on 2nd and 1. And Doug Martin to the 49 and another first down. So regular season comparison, blind resume. Player 1, player 2 in recent college football history.
Okay, so those are some
player 3.
Pretty good numbers by some guys who've had some good regular seasons. Who are those people?
Well, Heisman Trophy winners. And keep in mind, Kellen still has a lot of football to be played coming in tonight with the 24 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot more touchdown passes.
At the 42-yarder to Titus Young, and he's going deep here. But he overthrows Titus Young.
Well, you look at the 9 games for Moore, 24 touchdown passes, 4 picks, and then go over to the left side and you see Leinart had 28 during that regular season in 2004. I think it's a safe bet to say that Moore, since he's got this game and 2 more, he's probably going to get that 28.
Yeah, he leads the nation not just in passing efficiency, but in yards per attempt. They're going old school. They're going Jay Berwanger here to support Kellen Moore for the Heisman. Chris Potter now, the direct snap. And Potter hands off to Martin, who is taken down right away by Anthony Williams.
He dropped a little Jay Berwanger. What year?
1935. Chicago Maroons, playing in the Big Ten back then. Did not go on to play professional football, Mr. Berwanger.
Boy, bringing some knowledge.
Yeah. Of course, Cam Newton well out in front in our weekly Heisman poll that we do, having one of the best campaigns that anybody's ever put together. But you know what's going on with the breaking news that seems to constantly come in and all the allegations, so voters waiting to hear more. Kellen trying to escape, somehow does for a moment, and a rare run by Kellen Moore, and dives forward for that first down line to make. How about that from Kellen Moore?
Oh, and Chris Carter thought he had him. Chris Carter had 9 sacks coming into the game tonight. Figured he had number 10. Had Kellen Moore in his sights. 43. Got him right there. Got him. Got him. Don't have him.
11 hard-earned yards on 3rd and 10. That is not what Kellen Moore doesn't really run. He shuffles. He just kind of shuffles, always in position to throw the ball. Here's Doug Martin. And Martin to the 39-yard line. Just a gain of 1. Kyle Knox with the tackle.
He tried to get in behind Nate Potter, 73, who was pulling and trying to do a kick-out block there, and Martin had to cut it back inside. Potter's had a nice matchup most of the night with Chris Carter. Carter, pass rusher we've talked about. Moore's been kept relatively clean.
6th in the nation in sacks coming into tonight is Chris Carter. Martin to the 35 as Logan Harrell is a very good defensive tackle for Fresno, was able to find Martin. Harrell was the WAC and National Defensive Player of the Week, had a 4-sack game against Cincinnati earlier this year.
Yeah, he was the National Defensive Player of the Week for that performance.
Third and 5 with Moore out of the gun. And pick up the blitz. Pettis. And Pettis with the catch just inside the 30. That is good for a first down.
Well, they're so good at recognizing the blitz and picking it up. And Kellen Moore always seems to have his guys in the right protection scheme. Look at Martin, step up, pick up the pressure coming inside from Cornell Banks. That's just the step he needs to get the ball to Pettis.
Martin on the pitch. And Fresno was all over that. As you saw Philip Thomas surge in and then Kyle Knox clean it up.
Well, Fresno State becoming more aggressive defensively now, bringing pressure on a couple of straight plays, leaving some vulnerable coverage out there on the corner. One-on-one matchup with Young, one-on-one matchup with Pettis.
There's Young in motion here. 2nd and 12. Looks Young's way, comes back for Martin. And Martin cannot escape. Great pursuit. Cornell Banks, the nose tackle, coming all the way to the outside to bring down Martin.
Yeah, but give credit to Travis Brown.
He was first to get there.
Yeah, Brown was out there and turned that play back inside. He beat the block, made the initial contact, and turned the play back inside so he could get some help.
There's Travis Brown, son of the late Dan Brown, the beloved defensive coordinator who lost his battle with cancer a year ago. Dear friend of Pat Hill's throughout his coaching career. Here's a 3rd and 13. Moore has time and then throws it out to the flats, incomplete, as Martin was his option there.
Well, Fresno State coming up with some plays to keep hope alive. I mean, they're slowing down this game and making it, in Pat Hill's words, kind of a dirty, gritty game. And if they can find a way to get something going offensively, they got a chance to get back in the game.
A 50-yard attempt now by Kyle Brotzman. He's 3 for 6, 50 and over in his career. And he makes it. The big boot from Brotzman. A 50-yard field goal from Kyle Brotzman. 23 zip. Number 4. Up big. Looking forward to seeing game day at Wrigley. Looking forward to seeing that game at Wrigley. 23 zip here, Boise on top of Fresno. You have to have a ticket, though, in the west end zone.
Yeah,
that's where you want to have a ticket for that.
Yeah, half-court basketball. They're only going to go one direction because of a safety concern about the end zone being too close to the wall.
Here's Isaiah Burse. Fresno needs a spark. Flag comes down as Burse gets it out to the 32. We will check to see what the penalty is.
Isaiah Burse on the kickoff return, a flag was thrown.
During the return, holding. Return team number 54. That 10-yard penalty is assessed from the spot. First down, Fresno State.
Tess, dominating defense. 7 possessions for Fresno State. 5 3-and-out possessions.
They've had a couple of shutouts this year as this defense. They've held 4 of their 9 opponents to 1 touchdown or less. They know how to D up. Robbie Rouse now. And Rouse, a gain of 3 yards that time.
We've talked about that defensive line, and to me the difference, Billy Wynn, his presence inside, they're having trouble blocking him inside. Baker's solid inside, and then you go to the outside guys. You get McClellan doing so well, Winterswijk, but Billy Wynn 90 inside. You just see him get rid of a block right there and make the tackle.
He's disruptive. Yeah, he's a space eater. Real difference maker. Rouse again. Nowhere to go again. Billy Wynn, Ryan Winterswijk.
Well, they can't block it. I mean, Billy Wynn is just destroying folks inside now. He's to the right side. Watch him. He's just all over the place. He's tough inside. Takes the center way back. That's Helapico that he drops back there and gets involved in the play. You can't block him one-on-one. He's dominating inside right now.
3rd and 6 with Colburn out of the gun. And it is intercepted. George Iloka. And that Boise defense just keep on lauding them. They are the real deal. stop the run, put you into passing situations, come after you, and cause turnovers.
Well, you got to have good coverage, and that ball's going to hang up. That ball hangs up, you got a problem. Iloka recognizes it, sees it, is able to come over and make the play. That ball hangs. Iloka is sitting there. Easy pickings for him. This defense has just been outstanding.
Now a short field for Kellen Moore. Avery to the 20-yard line. Phil Thomas with the tackle, Jeremy Avery.
It's becoming a workman-like performance for the Boise State offense. Grind it out, pick up a couple first downs, and let their defense dominate the game. Not the explosive thing you normally expect out of their offense. But that young man right there, Colburn, is having a tough night with that Boise State defense.
Yeah, this is a guy who had 4 touchdown games against Cincinnati and Ole Miss, and he's had a lot of success in his career, but not against this team. Avery looking for room, not finding much. I think for a 3rd and long as Kyle Knox quick to get to Avery.
Well, here's the thing, too. The Fresno State defense, they've played pretty well.
They have.
And you're down 23-0, and you've actually played pretty well.
Well, you know, I think that's when you talk about what is a good team, what is a great team, it's when they can win a game any which way.
Yeah.
Having a night like this and being up 23-0, looking to add more. See the season percentage in the red zone. 3rd and 8 for Kellen. And a good strike to the 10-yard line as he's able to connect to Tyler Shoemaker. And the crowd with that shoe chant.
He's become a fan favorite, reliable guy, typically slot receiver, dependable. When teams double the outside pair of Young and Pettis, he sneaks open over the middle.
So a 1st and goal as the ball is right on that 10-yard line. Young in motion. Moore has options and just out of the reach of his intended target as he was trying to get it to Kyle Efall.
Well, he had Pettis. Coming across the middle, but he was moving away from him. And since he was moving away from Pettis, he didn't try to throw back across the middle and instead decided to go outside to Efall. That's a tough deal. It runs into a cameraman there.
That's a tough deal for the cameraman.
Tough for everybody over there.
So Potter now lining up in that Wildcat quarterback formation. And a whistle flag comes in.
Ball start. Offense number 82. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
It's the reserve receiver, Geraldo Hiwa.
I know we were both impressed yesterday watching practice and how many drills they ran simultaneously on a day before the game, and we saw them work that Wildcat an awful lot with Potter.
They were working direct snaps with Potter and a triple option out of that formation. So they get backed up to a 2nd and goal now from the 15, and Moore comes back in. Moore to the end zone. Touchdown, Broncos. Austin Pettis slides for the score.
Well, he's the man that he wants in the red zone. Pettis will get inside. No inside help. And a perfectly thrown ball down low where nobody else can get to it.
Rotsman makes it 30-0. And now those guys dressed as the Heisman Trophy can feel a little better that their star quarterback is putting up the stats here.
ESPN begins College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Castrol GTX with superior protection against harmful deposit buildup. And Timberland Earthkeepers. Nature needs heroes.
You ever watch the show Man vs. Food? Well, Big Judd's. That is Man vs. Food right there.
Are you kidding me?
2 one-pound patties. You got bacon, mushroom, 8 slices of Swiss cheese, the lettuce, tomato, the mayo, blue cheese on top of that. If you can finish the burger and a pound of fries in under 10.5 minutes,
well, you get another one?
Picture on the wall, and you eat for free. That's right down the road here from Broncos Stadium.
Is that before or after you go right to the hospital? That's got to be, what, 10,000 calories?
You wouldn't come within 2 miles of that.
I wouldn't let you go there.
Oh, trust me.
My goodness.
I mean, how about this, Rod? A Boise team that was a little slow to engage tonight on this cold, damp November night here up in Idaho. It's 30-zip.
Yeah.
It is 30-0 for number 4.
Yeah, workmanlike. The defense has been stellar all night. It was the offense that struggled early and then has just put in a workmanlike performance since the first quarter.
Isaiah Burse on the return now. And he reverses field. Burse with a good return. Still working his way upfield. Cuts back now at midfield. And into Boise territory. So good field position for Fresno. We'll see if they can do anything with it as Ryan Colburn takes to the field. Stay with us. We'll be back. Thanks, Mike. Fresno going with Isaiah Burse. A Wildcat formation for the Bulldogs here. And it's incomplete as Burse was trying to quickly get it to Jalen Saunders, and George Iloka came up to defend. Burse is a true freshman. He's fast, he's explosive, and they have been willing to let him throw the ball, Rob.
Yeah, well, he threw it a lot in high school. So he's no stranger to throwing the football. He's been moved to a wide receiver, was an exceptional athlete coming out of high school at Modesto Christian in Modesto, California.
So he'll get some work against one of the elite defenses in the country. Option to the near side. And that'll go for a loss of about 2.5 yards. Earl Bakery in on the tackle there. Saturday afternoon, Ohio State and Iowa college football presented by Kay Jewelers, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC.
Have you noticed how much Ohio State has been using that pistol offense?
Oh, sure.
That Nevada made famous, and they're using it. And I really think that game tomorrow, Pryor's going to have to throw the ball. He's going to see a lot of 8-man front from Iowa. He's thrown it well this season, but I think he's going to get challenged like he did against Wisconsin.
Colburn comes back in on 3rd and 14. And that is going to be well short as he connects with Hamler. Well, you talk about Terrell Pryor and you think about his skill set. You juxtapose that with the pistol at Nevada and Colin Kaepernick. You can understand why they decided to put in some of Chris Alt's pistol offense there.
Well, and Pryor has improved dramatically over last season as a pocket passer, and they've used him exclusively at times this season in games like that. And I think tomorrow's game is a game where it's going to have to pay off because of the way Iowa will go after him with an 8-man front, I think.
Andrew Shapiro's been busy tonight punting away for Fresno. Otter back at the 9-yard line for the Broncos. And this bounces at the 22. Let's take a look back at this Boise defense in real time, brought to you by Wendy's.
It's been their guys up front on the edge, all about the speed. Venable 17 out of the backfield. Iloka coming over for a pick. If it's not that defensive front, It's that team speed that has just overwhelmed Fresno State.
You know, you talk about the 4 remaining undefeateds that are all trying to play in this BCS national title game. Everybody's got their little niche, their specialty. Yeah. Oregon, the fast offense. Auburn, the superstar quarterback. TCU, the great defense. But Boise is so balanced in every aspect. They seem to be such a complete football team.
Well, I think that's right. And, you know, I think it gets overlooked, but you could start with the Boise State defense and say, you know, that's really where things begin. Look at tonight.
I think this year you can.
Yeah, 12 yards rushing, a couple turnovers, less than 100 yards allowed total tonight. You know, you look at those top 4 teams and, you know, you have questions about Auburn and their defense, you know, some questions about Oregon and, you know, their defense at times, but you don't question this defense and you don't question really TCU's except for that performance against San Diego State late in the game.
Play action now for Kellen Moore, and he is able to get it complete to his tight end, Kyle Efall. Efall had that fake punt reception in the Fiesta Bowl last year in the win against TCU.
Yeah, a lot of talk about Boise State and TCU, and Boise State is in position to pass TCU in the BCS rankings probably this weekend since TCU's not playing, and Boise State cut their lead in half last weekend.
Michael Coughlin now comes in here. Low snap as they run the double reverse. Pettis throwing downfield and coming back for the ball, incomplete, and then fumbling it. Flag comes down as Tyler Shoemaker gets it down to the 6-yard line. Now there is the Boise you've come to know through the years.
That's just the reminder. That's just in case you thought maybe they didn't do that stuff anymore.
First down, Boise State.
Coughlin, Avery, Pettis thrown downfield. Yeah. Shoemaker.
Now keep in mind, this is cold night, bad weather, and you got all these guys handling the football. 4 different guys touching the football here. Not the greatest throw by Pettis, but a great adjustment by Shoemaker. And again, that's just one of those trick plays to remind you they have them. They bring them every week. And you think about them, you worry about them, you practice them. Shoemaker gets back on the ball there.
7 seconds to go here in the third, and Coach Peterson calls a timeout. Let's take a look at our Life's Good flashback brought to you by LG. Last time Boise State lost a regular season game.
Hawaii and Boise State, the winner with the WAC championship outright. Here's Ian Johnson ripping through. He may go. He swings it out to Devon Bess. Touchdown. Oh, my goodness, he got run over. Brennan throws quickly. The University of Hawaii Warriors are WAC champions.
Nearly 3 years ago in Honolulu, and you saw Colt Brennan there, and you probably heard the news reports throughout the night that Colt Brennan was involved in a car accident, and the report we got was serious condition. So our thoughts are with Colt Brennan and his family. We hope to hear some updated good news from Hawaii. First and goal, play action to the end zone, and who else but Austin Pettis, one of Moore's favorite targets in a spot like this, and Boise is just rolling. Seems like everybody else has had their little moments and their scares, but you look at these scores that Boise's been posting, and here's another one.
Hey, take a look at that. He knew right now, play action pass, he came up, knew exactly where Pettis would be. We talked about his anticipation. That's what makes him so good in the red zone. Play action, he knew where he wanted to go, anticipated the coverage, knew where Pettis would be breaking, and got it there in a hurry.
Smile on the phone with Brian Harsin, the offensive coordinator. Knows he did his job well. Pettis and Young, that dynamic duo of receivers. What a career they've had, what a year they've had. And the first half for Titus Young was stellar, and now Pettis finding the end zone a couple times here.
Well, Young was the deep play guy in the first half, opened up the running attack, and come back in the second half with Pettis being the focal point of the passing attack after Young opened things up.
Two seconds to go here in the third, and it is 37-zip against a pretty stout Fresno team that played Nevada to the wire last night. The short kick is fielded at the 32 by Ben Jacobs. Austin Pettis, his second touchdown reception of the night. Captain Cool, Kellen Moore, finds him with ease. Joe Tessitore, Rod Gilmore with you for what has turned into be another Boise blowout. 37-zip. All smiles for Kellen Moore. He has gone over 3 touchdown mark, close to 300 yards on the night.
He may be done for the night.
Got pulled halfway through the third quarter last week. Colburn goes incomplete here. You know, the big comparison, of course, Boise and TCU. So let me put up the TCU schedule, Rod, and tell me what you make of their season.
Well, the reason TCU gets some heat is because of the SMU game, which was competitive until late, and then the San Diego State game, a 5-point win. And the notion has been, if you're a non-AQ, you're TCU, Boise State, you have to dominate your non-AQ opponents. And those two games stand out as the games that TCU didn't dominate, and that's hurt them, in addition to the fact that Utah, the team they got the big win over, has fallen way off, and people say now Utah was a fraud.
Colburn trying to avoid the pressure and then just slings it forward, and it goes incomplete.
And then when you add 1-9 New Mexico,
there's no upside to the rest of the season.
No upside, and yeah, and so unfortunately for TCU, you know, the late returns on their opponents and on their season haven't been good, which is why they've been falling in the polls, and Boise State has been gaining ground, cut their lead in half last weekend, and may pass them this weekend, and certainly if they win next weekend, would pass them.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Next week they play number 18 Nevada with Colin Kaepernick, the star quarterback. That's a launching pad game for Boise's BCS hopes. Colburn, and the whistle blows.
Well, there's one other interesting thing about the Boise State TCU situation.
Timeout, Boise State. That is Boise State's first charge timeout. This will be a 30-second charge timeout.
There's been discussion about the Rose Bowl taking Boise State or TCU if one of them doesn't wind up in the national championship game. Even if they didn't have to take one, they might take one anyway.
Contractually, within 4 years, they have to do that once, taking the top non-AQ team. Let's talk about, you know, this BCS scenario and the teams jockeying for position. Let's put up 4 teams with their schedule strength and the margin of victory and the record versus top 25. Obviously, team 3 and team 4. I mean, you look at 1-1 versus top 25. Team 4 doesn't even have a win against a top 25 opponent.
Interesting.
So we'll reveal who those teams are.
Yeah. What are your guesses at home? Who do you think those 4 teams are?
3rd and 10 now. Colburn, he's going nowhere. Ryan Winterswijk wrestles him down. All right, so all the controversy of the BCS, TCU and Boise, who's going to get in? Could somebody be left out? Meanwhile, look at Oklahoma State and Pittsburgh, who as of right now, if things were to close up shop in the regular season right now,
they've got a shot. Yeah, they're sitting at number 10. You know, but people will point to that strength of schedule and say, well, 31, a lot better than 65 or 74. And you look at the Pitt thing, well, that's hard to argue, Pitt's situation.
You're going to hear a lot of complaints with what's going on with the Big East this year, occupying one of those spots. And this punt is off to the side. Leapfrog, that's what they plan to do this weekend when the new standings come out. They're looking for a shot at that, the Big Crystal. 37 zip for the 4th-ranked team in the country. The chase concludes with the Ford 400 at Homestead, Miami, Sunday on ESPN at 1 o'clock East. It's a winner-take-all. Rod Gilmore, full-time college football analyst, full-time attorney in the Bay Area, and part-time NASCAR handicapper. Break it down for me.
Oh, well, these guys all have to go after it. I mean, Hamlin is in the lead, but he's got to try and win it. Jimmy Johnson has been talking smack, putting pressure on Hamlin, and Harvick is out there, and he's in it, but they all have to race to win.
We need to get you down to South Florida to be a guest analyst this weekend for that. Kellen Moore's taking a shot. And it goes incomplete as he was looking for Geraldo Hiwat. So Kellen Moore is playing in the 4th quarter of a game.
Yeah.
Makes for a happy Bronco.
Yeah, and 37-0, and the Broncos flying.
You know, this has actually been something that's been keeping Kellen Moore's stats down a bit, is that they're up so big every week. He has been playing in 4th quarters.
Well, it makes you wonder about style points, too. I mean, you know, are they looking for more style points up 37-0?
Doug Martin now. And Martin to the 35.
And last week, we saw Kellen Moore come out in the 3rd quarter.
5 minutes to go in the 3rd last week.
And here we are in the 4th quarter with a 37-point lead. And they've got a big game next week with Nevada, and he's still out there and not just handing the ball off.
See his numbers on the night. Closing in on 300 yards, has the 3 touchdowns. That interception was a tip ball early in the game. And a first down for the Broncos. It's Austin Pettis, the trusty Austin Pettis for Kellen Moore.
I wonder if Moore lobbied for one more series. And Peterson gave it to him, and Moore is going after it to get a good score in the night, feel good about all that, and then retired to the sideline.
Well, he's got his 300-yard gain, does Kellen Moore now. Passing again. Taking a strike and cannot connect with Hiwat. Took a good look downfield, gave it a shot, and off the mark. Hiwat is 6'4", 200-pounder who they think has a bright future.
He does. He does. And that ball was thrown very well to him. And that was as hard a ball as we've seen Moore throw tonight. And he put it right on the money.
So Coach Pete letting his star quarterback stay out there. Pressure. Quick release. Did he hold on? Touchdown! Wow, what a catch by Titus Young. Kellen Moore made the quick decision, and Titus Young gave him the big score on the other end. Heck of a play.
Quick recognition by both Young and Moore of the blitz and the single coverage to the outside. Great concentration and finish at the end, but Moore is so good at recognizing when you're bringing the pressure. And he finds that extra beat, that extra second to get rid of the football.
A 28-yard touchdown pass, Moore to Titus Young. Moore now has 333 yards and 4 touchdowns. The pressure came. He knew right where to go. Titus Young, what a night.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by the Volkswagen Sign Then Drive event, where you can drive away in a VW for practically just your signature. And the new Schick Hydro, the only razor that's like a blast of hydration.
That's a beautiful and historic Boise Depot. Opened in 1925. That was the big talk about in Boise back in the day. Now the big talk about is the blue turf.
Yeah, it's changed, hasn't
and
it?
Kellen Moore. And what a night for Kellen Moore and Austin Pettis and that guy Titus Young. You see number 1, 164 yards, couple of touchdowns, career highs.
It's easy to smile when you're having the kind of season that they've been having, huh?
And there is the Heisman Trophy candidate who's been trailing Cam Newton in all the polls, but has been there every step of the way and getting support. 333 yards and 4 touchdowns tonight. He finally gets to play a fourth quarter for the first time in a long time, and he delivers a magnificent 28-yard touchdown pass to Titus Young.
Part of a fourth quarter. I think he's done for the night. I think he's done.
44 zip. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Here's Isaiah Burse again, taken down at the 20. Let's check in with Michael Yam. Mike?
All right, guys, time for a Sports Center right now, brought to you by the Miller High Life in Minnesota. They shocked North Carolina. Golden Gophers now 4-0 for the 3rd straight season under Tubby Smith. Carolina's now lost 5 of 7 on a neutral court. Wrigley Field is going to play host to Illinois and Northwestern tomorrow. They'll be going one way on offense. Our game day crew is there starting at 9 a.m. on the U. Sports Center currently on ESPN.
Fresno looking for anything they can get at this point. Robbie Rouse, 10 possessions, 8 punts, 2 turnovers, 8 3-and-outs forced upon them by this Boise State defense.
Yeah, that's domination. That's domination. 8 3-and-outs. They've had nothing, and Rouse has certainly been an outstanding running back this season at Fresno State. 2 straight weeks, more than 200 yards rushing. Came into the game with a shot at getting to 1,000 yards tonight.
Only 36 tonight for Rouse. Back-to-back 200-yard games, and tonight only 36 yards. And here is Burse now. Does everything. Kick return, receiver, play some wildcat quarterback.
But don't forget, this is a young Fresno State team. And their offense, their skill players are all pretty much first-year players. Devin Wiley, they expected to have him this season, veteran wide receiver. He got hurt early in the season. He's going to redshirt and come back next season. But this is a young offense.
So first down for Fresno. Rouse loses yards that time. He is wrapped up right away by Deron Mackey and Jarrell Root. And now some of the backup defensive players for Boise, they get their opportunity to sink their teeth into this Fresno offense.
Yeah, but it's not like they haven't been on the field. I mean, they've run these guys in and out during the course of the game. They're just getting more reps now. And there you see Mackey going off. He's been in and out throughout the ball game. They play with such intensity. They demand that their players play hard, and then they will give them a break.
You know they want to keep this shutout. Colburn slings it down the middle of the field, and that is picked off. Jason Robinson. Robinson trying to get to the outside and is finally taken down at the 36, and another interception for Boise State tonight. This defense is absolutely stellar here at home. Defending this blue turf.
Well, Robinson's just sitting back there playing center field. Nothing to worry about. Miscommunication to the outside with A.J. Johnson, 82, who was the only possible receiver in the area. That ball was thrown way to the inside. Easy pick.
Tough night for Ryan Colburn.
He said before the game, if it's close in the fourth quarter, I like our chances.
And now Joe Southwick playing quarterback for Boise. As Jeremy Avery tries to keep his footing. And the night for Ryan Colburn against this aggressive defense, Rod.
Yeah, tough deal. 6 of 20, not even 100 yards passing, couple of picks. He's been harassed by that defensive front. It's that 4-down line approach. Those guys can put pressure on you, and then they bring extra guys just to keep you off balance. And Colburn was under duress most of the night.
Chase Baker, big J.P. Nisby getting a breather now. Avery getting some work here as he is down to the 29-yard line. So Joe Southwick playing quarterback now for the Broncos. He's the freshman. You know, Coach Peterson actually brought his name up when we sat with him yesterday, because we talked about, okay, what happens? You know, there's circumstances where Kellen's not on the field, and he said Joe Southwick needs to play better. He wants to see some development out of his young backup quarterback, as Kellen's night is over with 333 yards and the 4 touchdowns. Southwick now on 33, and he picks up the first down to Chandler Koch.
Well, Tess, we talked about the tough start for Kellen Moore. Well, you saw the tip and the pick, the fumble, all of this occurring in the first quarter, but then after that he was lights out. Finding his man Titus Young a couple times in the end zone, getting some help from Austin Pettis as well, and then the brilliant catch by Young, one-handed cradling that ball in the corner of the end zone. Moore, another outstanding night.
A cold, wet evening here in Boise, and he started to heat up as the night went along. Southwick now, pressure coming after him, and a sliding catch at the 20-yard line by Chris Potter.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, Moore was what, 3rd or 4th in the Heisman ballot?
Well, he's always been in the top 3 with LaMichael James and Cam Newton in terms of all the surveying we've been doing all year long.
But he started making a move after the issues started coming up with Cam Newton.
In fact, last week, one of the official Heisman voters at ESPN voted Kellen Moore with a first-place vote, kept Cam Newton entirely off a ballot. And Moore's been showing up and getting more and more support. Jarvis Hodge getting some work as he did last week, and it's been interesting. And obviously, listen, all 3 guys, when you look at the top 3 candidates of Moore, Cam Newton, and LaMichael James, are having Heisman-worthy seasons. It's that Cam Newton is having a season that's among the all-time great Heisman seasons.
Correct. And the issue that has come up with Cam Newton, and whether there was a pay-for-play deal with him, although it's caused some voters to back away from him, I think the vast majority are still saying, hey, we don't know enough to leave him off the ballot or to not vote for him. So I think the majority are still leaning Cam Newton, and I think that's appropriate because nothing has been found to definitively have happened with him yet.
Hodge picks up the first down. I couldn't agree with you more. As a Heisman voter, that's what I'm doing. I'm sitting back saying, I want to know more. But if you're telling me he's eligible, I have to base it on what I know. He's an eligible player, as Cam Newton as it stands right now, and 60% of the voters are saying that. 40%, excuse me, 60% are saying as long as he's eligible, I vote for him. 40% are saying I want to know more, I'll decide for myself. Here is Hodge again. And Hodge trying to get it to the 10-yard line. But it's going to be interesting, Rod, based on news much more. We're not going to have an NCAA investigation that's going to reveal anything in a short time. Well, it's going to be the news that's going to.
Well, you'll get a chance. You'll have another poll this weekend. Another opportunity on our BCS Countdown show on Sunday to give the updated view of what voters are thinking after this week, where there's been some more information and more news, and 3 top players haven't really been on the field. So we'll see what happens on Sunday.
And obviously Kellen's performance tonight is going to help his cause. Hodge again. Jarvis Hodge is a pretty hard-charging runner, and he's got it down there at the 4-yard line. And that was the line to make for a first down. So this will be a 1st and goal for Boise, as now the backups have come in with Joe Southwick and Jarvis Hodge, and they're going straight down the field as well.
But do they keep the orange uniforms, or do they go back to the blue after the slow start tonight for the offense?
The first time they've ever gone with the all-orange unis at home. So Hodge stays in as the feature back on 1st and goal. And he muscles his way into the end zone, and this is just getting silly. Half a hundred is hung on the board. This is not a Fresno team that's a doormat.
No.
51 zip Boise.
Every Sunday, the BCS Countdown Show reveals the exclusive BCS rankings. Be the first to know who's in the driver's seat and who's poised to be this year's BCS Buster.
Reese is setting up for a great finish.
The BCS Countdown Show, Sunday at 6 on ESPN.
That's just so you can bookend your full dose of Rod Gilmore right there. The BCS Countdown Show of Reese and the guys, and Rod will be on 6 o'clock as the new standings will be revealed. Many believe that Boise will jump ahead of TCU this week. They're ahead of them in the human polls and just a hair behind them in the computer averages. And now you got 51 zip on the board against Pat Hill's team. No Verse here on the return. Out to the 27. Let's take a look back at our coverage spotlight brought to you by Travelers Insurance.
Well, Boise State has covered the field through the air with their outstanding wide receivers. Titus Young, couple of big touchdown catches from Kellen Moore, obviously, and then his running mate on the other side, Austin Pettis, also coming up with a couple of big touchdown catches, also from Moore. They have covered the ground through the air in flawless fashion.
And now that Fresno offense goes back out there to face this Boise defense that has had their number all night long. Colburn, a quick pass, ball came loose. They're going to say that was incomplete as Johnson could not secure it. Jason Robinson and Antoine Murray were quick to get to him. Look at those numbers by Titus Young compared to Fresno's entire offense.
Well, you know, we talked about this at the very beginning. They've got two receivers that are NFL quality. NFL quality receivers, and you have to defend them. Titus Young has such speed, you're afraid to go man up on him, and whenever Fresno State did, he ran by him.
Robbie Rouse. Good move by Rouse. And a first down run out to the 41.
It's that lateral quickness we've talked about with him. Maybe not the top end speed, but great quickness. But he hasn't been able to bring enough offense to help this team. They've not put anything on the board.
This is not what we see out of Fresno. You got to have to go back to 1998.
Wow.
The last time Fresno State was shut out. 98. Rouse. And Jason Robinson was waiting for him. But Rouse getting some running room now. Remember, back-to-back 200-yard rushing days for Robbie Rouse. And then tonight, stonewalled.
Well, you know, we watched the tape. We talked to the other coaches around the country, and we hear universally, and we see it with our eyes. This Boise State team is an elite team. There's no question about it. They are deserving of being one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the country.
Auburn now to pass, and is incomplete. Would have been a first down.
The finish we're going to have here over the next couple of weeks, finding out who will wind up in the national championship game.
How about next Friday, Rod?
Yeah, and who will wind up in the Rose Bowl. Those issues to be determined
next Friday.
Couple of weeks.
Next Friday, day after Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Sit back and just watch all day, because that is going to be the turning point moment of the college football season. Auburn, Alabama, Oregon, Arizona, Boise against number 18 Nevada. Rouse now. Can he get to the outside? Tries to cut back, taken down a yard short of that line to make.
Think about that day. That Friday, you will get to see likely the top 3 teams play in order and make your own judgment and see how it plays out.
And can you imagine if either Auburn or Oregon gets upset next Friday, knowing Boise has the 3rd game? They have the late game out of the 3. They will be sitting in the locker room, taking the field, knowing they are going to go onto the field to be number 2 in the country, to be in position with just a week to go in the season to possibly play for it all. 4th and 1. Rouse just able to get that ball across. Saturday afternoon, ABC delivers a battle in the Big Ten Conference. Ohio State must win to remain in contention for the Rose Bowl. Ohio State against number 20 Iowa. College football presented by Kay Jewelers, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on ABC.
I got to believe that's a tough ball game, a bounce-back week for Iowa after Northwestern beat them last week. You got to feel like Iowa's making this game tomorrow their season. And Ohio State has everything to play for in that ball game. Everything.
Under 2 minutes. Fresno trying to get rid of that goose egg. Hey, let's talk some Friday fantasy football. Go back and recap what happened in our race with Colin Cowherd from ESPN Radio and yourself. AJ Green had a great game for me. Actually, everybody had a really nice week. Andy Dalton did well for you. Justin Blackman. I mean, this guy, Justin Blackman, is insane with the number he's putting up all
crazy good. So next week, we figured out you and Colin going at it. We're going to have a winner
only
next
2-point differential.
Yep. Good battle.
Come up with our picks here in just a moment. We'll show you. It'll be the final picks of our year of Friday Fantasy Football. Here's Rouse again. Rouse is adding to his yardage total here on this last drive. All right, so here are the picks, Rod, for Friday Fantasy Football.
Yeah, well, I'm going to get Kaepernick again. I've been trying to get him in all season long. And then I had to get some love for Jordan White down there, Western Michigan, and Bobby Rainey at Western Kentucky. Those guys deserve a little attention. They're going to get some numbers for me.
I'm going Northern Illinois, Chandler Harnish as my quarterback. You're going Colin Kaepernick against New Mexico State. Pretty scary what he can do. He's closing in on a major rushing touchdown record for a quarterback. Colburn. Incomplete. Flag comes in, though, as Gavin's had coverage on Jalen Saunders. So just over half a minute remains. Boise is trying to keep this shutout.
Pass interference, defense number 4. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
Saturday Night Football on ABC regional action. Nebraska, Texas A&M. Some of you see Florida State, Maryland, USC, Oregon State. You can go to ESPN.com and search maps to find out what game you're getting.
Well, the Pac-10 is struggling. They may not fill their bowl quota. And that Oregon State's failing down the stretch with some injuries and the like. USC is not eligible for a bowl this year. Pac-10 may not fill their 6 spots.
Trying to break the shutout here is Colburn and the Bulldogs. Over the middle, and he overthrew his intended target, Matt Lindsay. 28 seconds remain. Boise State going for their 3rd shutout of the season. The last time they had 3 shutouts in a season, 1970. 3 in a season Chris Peterson's team is trying to lock that in. You know Pat Hill doesn't want to see that goose egg. I told you 1998 the last time.
So they're going to take their shots down here, and you know that Boise State isn't going to sit back. There'll be some pressure coming soon.
Colburn steps up. Now he's going to try to run it. And he spins down to the 17. And that clock counts down.
Well, they've got 3 timeouts to use. They want to get that goose egg off the board. So you expect them to use all those timeouts to keep taking shots.
14 seconds to go. I mean, does it get to the point where Pat just says, hey, I got to get rid of that thing, let me kick a field goal?
I don't think so. I think he actually goes for it.
Well, there is the schedule. So the win tonight against Fresno, and then the big showdown against number 18 Nevada before they come back home.
Well, and we talked about the TCU schedule. All those wins for Boise State, dominant wins, not a close win when you're playing the non-AQs. It's the AQs you're expected to win, but when you play the non-AQs, the standard's got to be, you got to dominate. And that's the difference in the schedules. TCU hasn't dominated all their AQs, non-AQs. Boise State has.
And of course, Boise has the opportunity to finish up strong because that Nevada game, everybody respects Nevada.
Yep.
Their only loss is at Hawaii, late in the game, a tip ball that was picked off.
Well, they're sitting at number 18. So instant credibility right there.
So back to action on 3rd and 7 with 14 seconds to go. Some pressure now on Colburn. Has time, though, as they pick it up well. Now sprints to the near side. Running out of room. And then down at the 14 as the clock continues to run and the game is over. Boise had turnovers on their first 2 possessions. Then scored on 9 of the next 10. And they get their 3rd shutout of the season. A 24-game win streak, the longest in major college football, and they have never lost to a WAC opponent on the blue turf. They do it again. Number 4 rolls 51-zip. Kellen Moore, 333 yards and 4 touchdowns. Next week, the showdown with Nevada. For Ron Gilmore and our entire crew, I'm Joe Tessitore. Enjoy the rest of your night, including NBA Tonight up next.